What up, everybody? DC's Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong title has been one of their most fun ongoing series since it debuted back in October. And today, we're back to give you the biggest moments from issue 4. But for those of you who haven't read the first 3 issues of Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong, we've covered all of them right here on the channel. So click this link right here if you want to get up to speed before you watch this episode. However, as always, we highly recommend you read the full issues for yourselves because they're really freaking good. And you know, throughout the series so far, Godzilla killed Superman, then Batman found out about it and he didn't take it very well, so there's all of that. On a separate note, Variant the Podcast is back in business, and this year we are taking the show to another level, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Having said that, we were not able to shoot a podcast this week because Eris has been in and out as he deals with a couple of personal issues. Thankfully, everything is fine, but it has led to massive scheduling disruptions with our shooting schedule. I'm hopeful that we'll get things back on track in the next couple of weeks, and that we will have a normal podcast next week. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, let's see how the Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong story continues to unravel as the Titans from the Monsterverse have made their way into the DC universe. Issue 4 starts off with the damage Godzilla caused in Metropolis as we see Green Lantern picking up Atom Smasher with a massive construct gurney. We also see Batman talking to an unconscious Superman saying, "I promise I'll find a way to fix this. We need you, Clark." As we realize that Batman and the entire Justice League are at the Fortress of Solitude trying to heal Superman with his solar array. Wonder Woman then grabs Batman by the shoulder saying, "It's okay, Bruce. It happened too fast. Too many variables. There's nothing we could have done." But Batman just replies, "He's not gone." This is actually the most upset we've seen Batman portrayed in comics in quite a long time, and who can blame him? Clark is his best friend. Flash then comes in and tells Bruce, "We tried using Superman's solar array. There was no cellular regeneration." Hawkgirl then chimes in, "We couldn't find a pulse." As Diana says, "We don't know for sure that he has one." Batman then storms off while saying, "His heart is bigger than all of ours. He has a pulse." Wonder Woman, Flash, and Hawkgirl then look at each other as Diana just says, "He needs time to process." We then jump forward and see that Batman has figured out what caused these monsters or titans to appear in their universe. We see the Dark Knight say the Dreamstone was stolen, and after the boom tube was activated, the Legion was likely sent to an alternate world where these titan monsters exist. Hawkgirl then adds the Dreamstone brought them back here. So as this conversation between the Justice League members unfolds, they realize that the Toyman has the Dreamstone and they need to find him. So the Flash says, "I'll start looking." Cyborg then radios in saying, "I can help with that, Barry," as we learn that Cyborg has apparently found the beacon that's been calling to the monsters. Cyborg says the giant crab is fully submerged in the Atlantic and is off-grid. The Themyscirian beast remains on a path towards North America. However, based on the Metropolis monster's current trajectory, it's headed your way. Hawkgirl then wonders out loud, does that mean Superman is still alive? And Batman speaks up saying, "We have to move him somewhere. They can't get to him." The Flash then asks, "Where's Supergirl? She could confirm if he's still alive, right?" Wonder Woman then says she's not there and it must be for a good reason. We then jump to the next panel where we return to Supergirl on Skull Island, where she's having a staring contest with Kong. And for those of you who have been keeping up with this series, you already know that this confrontation between Supergirl and Kong actually started back in issue 3. Anyway, Green Arrow then makes a remark to Supergirl, wondering how long this staring contest is going to go on. Supergirl just replies, "As long as it takes." Now, this current situation should not come as a surprise for any King Kong fans because he's doing what he always does. He has a soft spot for the pretty young girl, particularly the blondes, and we see he is clearly taking a liking to Supergirl. Supergirl then says this creature is clearly territorial, but he's not like the one that attacked Metropolis and Kal. And that, of course, would be correct because Kong is probably the most civilized of all the Titans. At one point, Supergirl even thinks that Kong can understand what she's saying. So she tells Green Arrow the ape is not a threat right now. Keep an eye on him, but just be cautious. Stay out of his way. I need to see Kal-El. So Supergirl leaves and Kong looks at Green Arrow as he says hi, but Kong just starts roaring and beating on his chest. But we quickly realize it's not an aggressive move towards Green Arrow, but rather the League of Assassins who are on Skull Island and clearly want Kong. Green Arrow engages with them but gets thrown off a cliff. Thankfully, he's able to catch himself on a vine as Kong makes quick work of the rest of the League. Now, before we see where the League has taken Superman and what happens to Green Arrow, we want to thank AwesomeCon for sponsoring today's episode. For those of us who love geekdom, a Comic-Con is always a great time, and AwesomeCon is one of our favorites. And if you live anywhere near DC and have been there yourself, you know why. AwesomeCon is a 3-day celebration of all things in geek culture, bringing together over 70,000 fans with their favorite stars from across comics, movies, TV, games, and a ton more. And this year they have a celebrity all-star lineup that includes the likes of Anakin Skywalker himself, Hayden Christensen, and Rosario Dawson from the Ahsoka series. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, my people. Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville will also be attending, along with cast members from Breaking Bad, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Naruto, and many more. You'll also be able to catch up with some of your favorite comic writers, artists, and cosplayers in Artist Alley. The lineup is nuts pretty much across the board. I'm telling you, if you've never been to a Comic-Con before, there is nothing like geeking out with thousands of fellow nerds while surrounded by all the fandoms we love. It's basically a core memory waiting to happen. AwesomeCon is also a family-friendly event featuring things like AwesomeCon Jr., a science and book fair, and more. And it all goes down March 8th through the 10th at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C., which means it's coming up fast, so don't procrastinate. So get your badges now at awesomecon.com or click our link in the description. You'll be glad you did. Okay, after Kong defeats the League of Assassins, we learn that the Justice League has moved Superman to the Justice League Watchtower that orbits the Earth. And we see that they've brought Lois Lane. We see her walking up to the unconscious Superman saying, "They said the solar array isn't healing your damaged cells. That's not going to work for me. Not after I found this in your jacket pocket," as she pulls out the engagement ring he was going to give her in issue 1. She tells him, "It's beautiful." And my answer is yes. She then starts crying as she tells him, "But you're going to have to put it on my finger, so get better because I really want to wear it." At this point, Green Lantern walks in saying, "Sorry to intrude. We just got an emergency call from Aquaman that we need to follow up on. Do you want me to take you home?" Lois says, "I'm staying right here if that's okay." Green Lantern agrees and goes to help Aquaman. But while they're gone, Lois does some investigating on the League's computer, and after watching some video of the Legion of Doom stealing the Dreamstone, Lois makes a call saying, "Tell me every move Luthor has made in the past 24 hours. The person on the other side of the phone says, "What am I looking for?" She says, "A red stone." We are then taken to the Legion of Doom awaiting orders and arguing who's the leader of the group, with Giganta saying, "It's Lex, of course. We're always taking orders from him." We also learn at this point that they're waiting for Deathstroke and Cheetah, who are searching for Toyman as he's the one who has the Dreamstone and is controlling the monsters. Elsewhere, we see Lex at one of his secret facilities where he was able to reproduce the beacon signature that calls the monsters. We also see that Lex is looking at the innovations from the other world's tech, saying they've successfully recreated a mechanized Titan, one capable of defeating the greatest of monster threats. This will elevate my weapon systems beyond anything LexCorp ever created. This of course implies that Lex is probably going to try to make his own Mecha Godzilla, which would be a very fun ad. Anyway, we are then brought to Atlantis, where several of the Atlanteans are there to help out Aquaman, as we see a giant kaiju is trying to attack Atlantis, and this Titan looks awesome. He's also a complete beast because the combined strength of Aquaman with Atlantean forces and now the Justice League who's just arrived still aren't enough to take down this monster. However, at this moment, Godzilla shows up using his atomic breath, blasting the other Titan as they continue to battle above Atlantis. The battle continues to rage and Godzilla gets slammed into the dome that protects Atlantis and it begins to crack. So Mera yells, "It's time for the failsafe." Aquaman agrees and heads off to this massive secret prison where we see that he is unleashing the Kraken. And for those of you Aquaman fans out there, you know that the Kraken is just as big, if not bigger, than Godzilla and this other Titan. Green Lantern even comments, "He's released the Kraken." So as someone who loves kaiju and kaiju battles, this is about to get a lot more fun. However, the book then takes us back to Skull Island where we see Kong walking away from the League of Assassins who he just demolished. This also makes it possible for Green Arrow to escape on the League of Assassins boat. But when he goes to hide under a tarp on the boat, he finds a giant skull that looks similar to a skull crawler. But with that, the issue comes to an end. This was another great entry in what has already been a great series. And personally, I am shocked that Superman is still dead. But the assumption is still that by the end of the story, he will come back to life stronger than before and take out Godzilla and the other Titans. Or maybe they'll surprise us and go a different direction. Who knows? Now, I've already said multiple times that I love this series. I think it's a ton of fun, but what do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments. Other than that, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.